your baseline scenario is that we shouldn't expect a huge statement. We're not going to see anything prophetic come from this. This is groundwork day.
That's correct. Well, at most we can probably expect that they will scope opportunities for further dialogue. Secretary Tillerson will go into the meeting, as we have already been told, with the request to push Russia to perhaps put a pressure on their ally in Syria. However, it is unlikely because Russia does have strategic and tactical priorities in Syria that are not conducive to them abandoning the Assad regime. And at the same time, the US have very little in terms of what they could offer in exchange. It is unlikely that the revulsion of the international community over the chemical attack in Syria would change Russia's heart in terms of their support for Assad.
How important is Assad's personal role in this chemical attack? Is it clear, do you think, that Bashar al-Assad had a personal role in that he okayed it, that he supported the use of these banned chemical weapons?
As with any military event or operation, it is very difficult to establish where exactly did the orders come from. Main importance of this event is in the fact that it actually tested the boundaries of international response, because as we know from previous events, the Syrian regime was pushed into declaring it and destroying its chemical weapons stockpiles, but there were certain discrepancies between what intelligence said that Syria had and what was declared. In the meantime, also Syria did get away with use of chlorine without an international response. Therefore, the military strike response to the most recent chemical attack was actually something that perhaps caught the Syrian regime by surprise. And there will be certain scoping on the part of Syria and its allies, Russia and Iran, in terms of what could the new red lines and their enforcement on the part of the US and international community be.
Ottilia, you talk about the international community. The G7 met. The United Kingdom and the United States are advocates, I understand, of sanctions, more sanctions. The G7 is appallingly disunited on this. They praise Trump for taking his action, yet they do nothing.
Well, on the part of the G7, there is a number of countries that are more in favor of building a dialogue with Russia to exert pressure on Assad indirectly. Imposing any sort of sanctions on Russia, as it was proposed by the UK, would perhaps work in the opposite direction and close the channels of communications with Russia. At least that's how the argument runs. What we can perhaps expect is further sanctions, especially those targeting individuals on Syria, perhaps some individuals with Russian nationality, but not broad sanctions respond in terms of economic sanctions.